Hello everyone, my name is Denise. I'm a Catholic counselor, and today's topic will be You Are So Loved. In my practice as a counselor, I've noticed that one of the key core beliefs about self that causes one to not live their best life is the concept that I'm not lovable. Even in my own life, due to my own life experiences, it's become a habit to it's almost like a mantra that I read to myself before I sleep every night. You're not loved, you're not loved, you're not loved, right? And it is, I do that because I know I did that because I wanted to feel like to make myself less precious, to make myself less delicate, and what's that word, to allow myself to build a greater so-called resilience and fortitude to handle life stresses, when actually it has the opposite effect, or maybe it does have a bit of that effect, because now that like I'm so small and so unloved and so insignificant, maybe I can take more blows and impacts, right? So it does work to a certain extent, but if you want to push beyond that to have like supernatural resilience, then you really need to start sitting into the identity of a beloved person. So, okay, if you're a Christian or a Catholic, there's already a big scaffold for you to latch on. The whole Christian tradition is all about us being beloved sons and daughters of Christ, right? So we need to sit in to the identity, to drop into the identity, but it's not easy, because if I'm so loved, why did God allow these bad things to happen to me? If I'm so loved, will I then become a very entitled or grandiose narcissist who demands the best treatment everywhere I go? Best treatment from the cashiers, the waitresses, from all the service staff. Will I then become very aggressive and mean? On the contrary, I think if you are so loved already, you have this nice safe base, nice soft landing spot, which is God's love. Then it gives you greater tolerance to handle the difficulties of life, which could include really rude service staff or other bad encounters with people. It comes from this space of I'm so loved, so you can do what you want to do. You're probably acting out from your own insecurities or your own unhealed trauma. That's your thing to handle. It's not gonna hurt me. I have this bubble of protection, and it's the bubble of being beloved. So this is I've discussed this with some clients, and then some of them I would believe even more like pious Christians than me, but a lot of them also I could feel that they were like so-called quite moved by this statement. Like, how often do you tap into this identity as God's beloved child? Because if you don't, right, and then you just keep on striving to serve God with your own strength, you might start to feel like you're this servant, this slave, that keeps working and working, and there are no rewards, right? So that is like a recipe for a burnt out. You burn out very quickly, and then after a while, you just like for me as a counselor, you just go into session. You start losing warmth and empathy for your clients. You start growing resentful towards your clients, towards God. All those this is generally not so healthy. So I think as a Catholic counselor, one of the most important things that we must embody in ourselves is this identity as God's beloved child. So how do you hone this identity? Firstly, you need to pray. Prayer is so important. You need to pray, you need to go to church, attend mass. That is how to build faith. And through faith you get this love, this self, this identity of God's beloved. And also to focus also on the passion of Christ. Like, we could be suffering in life, but God suffered so much more, and Jesus suffered so much, and God suffered so much, having to crucify his own son. That love is great, much greater than whatever suffering we might be undergoing right now. So it helps to overcome that. And so yes, prayer, and then going to church, That's all very important. And also I think a big element is self-knowledge. You need to be aware if you're resentful to God, of God, right? Like, well, I did so much, why did this bad thing happen to me? Why did this bad thing happen to my client? And to really surrender this whole sadness, resentment, or even some despair, you got to surrender it to God, because it might come in the way of you embodying God's beloved. Okay, with that said, right, it's the obstacles that come our way that further helps us push through to enhance this identity. If God is always throwing spiritual cookies and sweet treats around along our way, of course we can embody God's beloved, but only as a baby, like a child. But if we can continue to tap into the identity amidst God's struggles or God's tough love, then we are truly sitting in that. So why is this so important as a Catholic counselor to embody this role as God's beloved? Because without knowing it, we're always role modeling roles to our clients, right? So if we always like so-called put ourselves down or have poor boundaries, allow people to step over us, we're also role modeling that kind of behavior. Then our clients will pick up on that and also start to think, that is what it means to be a good person, to be a doormat. Actually, it's not true. If you are God's beloved child, you have quite firm boundaries, right? And you wouldn't allow people to trample over you like that, right? So at the most basic level, for example, making an appointment, coming on time, paying your fees, all those things are something that if you are God's beloved child, you want to enforce. Or let's say if people are rude to you, you manage to push back. So this is not acceptable. Like super duper rude, not like mild rudeness that can be tolerated. So to have those clear boundaries and role model it to your clients, that's great. But on a deeper level, some clients, they've been through so much trauma and their sense of boundaries are so eroded. They tend to allow anybody in. They are like people with no barriers. Like I can have sex with you. They have no barriers. So it's slowly starting to pull them back and say, oh no, you're God's beloved child. You're not allowed. Not allowed. I mean, like, you should guard your body like a temple and not allow people to take advantage of you like that. And at the same time, you don't want to take advantage of them, because when you do these kind of things, both parties are causing harm to each other's identity. Those kind of bad behaviors are not ideal and not so-called befitting if you're God's beloved. Similarly, on a milder level, not like sexual promiscuity, like even things like food. If you're God's beloved child, you're going to eat 3 bags of chips, 3 big beef burgers in one sitting, 3 cups of big milkshake, and then 3 tubs of ice cream. No, right? Because you want to take care of your body and you want to make sure that you have a barrier to prevent super unhealthy food from coming in. Similarly, super unhealthy content, like, doom scrolling. Sometimes the content might get a bit sexual or violent, or maybe just pure materialistic. Like, I've seen content like a woman has 5 of the same kind of lip gloss in different colors. So that's quite mild, really. And then they show you their stash. They got one whole storeroom of their makeup room filled. So that is role modeling materialism. And then you keep doom scrolling, seeing content of that after one hour, then you start to think that's normal. So this type of content. So you see what I'm trying to say. Temperance. You don't want to have too much of a good thing. You also don't want to have too little of it. And also you need to have good boundaries to prevent bad things from coming in, so you're not assimilating all the bad things. And also you need to actively go and try to assimilate good things, like through prayer and all that. So, okay, this is kind of complex. I'm going to bring it back to the beginning, which is you are the beloved child of God. You are a beloved person, okay? Perhaps some people are like me, tend to like roll up the mantra, I'm not beloved, I'm not important. It's a way of coping. Or on a darker way, maybe the devil is like so-called using that every day, saying you're not beloved, right? And then it's so-called, it's a slow death. You slowly drag down into a feeling of being so insignificant, of nothingness, of existential dread. And then when you're so nothing, right, then all this small little gatekeeping of your own welfare and the welfare of those around you starts to fade. So that's not so good. In fact, it takes a lot of courage to start to contemplate that perhaps you are really that beloved. Perhaps you're really that precious. Okay? And no, I'm not trying to advocate for becoming like so precious, like I want the best table at the restaurant. I go watch a play. I want to sit right in the front row. No, not that kind of preciousness, but because that's bad. That's being very proud. It's a kind of dignity in your being that I'm advocating for. Okay, this is kind of a messy video, and maybe I will re-record this with notes so that it'll be neater and tidier. But with that said, I'm not an advocate of too neat, too clear, too concise. Lately I've been trying to be more chaotic, to let some creative ramblings come forth, perhaps bring forth some brand new insight that I never expected. So hope that you enjoy these creative, chaotic ramblings, and thank you so much, and God bless.